Guys, Sandy here, and I'm back with my Christmas in July kit for our How to Kill a Kit with Style series for the summer. I did choose to do Christmas in July for my July kit. Now I have a bunch of photographs from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert, and I knew from the get-go I was going to do a double page. So here are my photos. These are the two papers that I knew I wanted to have as my background. So let's see what I can do.
The first thing I decide to do is use this black and white pattern paper to get some border strips. And I really like the little snowflakes here, so I'm just cutting away the other pieces and I'm making sure, to line up the snowflakes so that they're pretty even and they're going to be pretty much the same since I'm going to expand them across both of the 12 by 12 pages. So I want there to be some continuity. And I'm okay with the way I cut that paper because, as you can see on the back of it, is that red and white candy cane stripe, and that red and white candy cane stripe is awesome to use in any kind of size that you cut it up, whether it's for layers or mats or whatever it is. So I go ahead and I span these across the double page, and then I'm just going to put my photos straight down on the page. I'm not matting them, I'm not adding anything fun, I'm not trimming them down because they do span across the entire 12 by 12 sheet. And I picked the photos to place them in this order for a reason. I wanted kind of the colors to be on both sides of the page, because even though this was at the same concert, probably taken within a few moments of each other, the colors are vastly different. If you guys have ever been to a TSO concert, you know that there is an amazing light and pyrotechnic and laser show that goes along with that concert, so it's just an amazing fun time. Now this one on the bottom here, I'm going to go ahead and tuck that underneath, and I'm not really covering up anything important, so I'm not too concerned with it at all. Now I know that my Tim Holtz rub-ons that I pulled out for my kit do have some music notes in them, so I'm definitely planning on using that. And I was just trying to, I'm digging through my little bit of stash that I've pulled out. I have a lot more Christmas stuff. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go with this. So I decide to use this Joy to the World die cut, and that is from Chamel's Christmas Magic line that was out a couple years ago. And I just trimmed my photo so that the globe would fit perfectly between the snowflake border and the bottom of the photo. I didn't want any awkward bits hanging out where it just made me uncomfortable. And that's really what, I need my scrapbook pages to do, and that's to make me comfortable. I'm just popping it up on a little bit of fun foam so that it can have a little bit of dimension on the page. But back to my layouts feeling comfortable. I know that there are definite design principles you can follow where you can do the diagonal, and many times I do that, or there's the visual triangles and, white space and negative space and how to use space properly and balance and all this kind of stuff that really, great minds have thought about and pondered over for years in design and aesthetic, and just there's scientific reasons behind it and all that kind of stuff. But really, my biggest advice to anyone who is scrapbooking, whether they know their style, they know what they like, or they're just starting out and they're not sure, maybe they're not confident in their abilities, is to just do what feels right to you. If it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. Even if somebody else is doing that exact same thing and it's coming out beautifully. If it doesn't feel right for you, for your photos, for your pages, for your embellishments, then don't do it. I think my biggest moment for that was I love looking at and watching Sue's Fish scrapbook. I enjoy it. I think she has a beautiful aesthetic, a beautiful look. It's light, bright, and airy. It's like lots of little teeny layers and little bits, and it's just amazing. And while I love layers and little bits, and my layers and little bits are way different than Suze's, and not that there's, you know, I'm comparing myself to somebody as talented as she is, but she does her thing in a way that I love, and I tried it and it just didn't work for me. It didn't feel right. Like, even though it was looking right, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like me. So I get my Suze Fish fixes by watching her YouTube videos when she posts them, or seeing her posts on Instagram when she does post there. But, you know, I love it. I love her style. I love her aesthetic. I can replicate it, but it still doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel true to me. So I'm not going to do it. And, you know, sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to replicate other people's things, or, you know, you see something on a Pinterest board, or you see somebody post in a Facebook group, and you replicate it and see if that feels good to you. And if it does, then keep doing that kind of thing. If it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. It took me a long time to just go for it and do something, and now I have that, I'm gonna say I have that confidence now, not in, like, I think my scrapbook pages are the end all be all, but I have that confidence where I am happy with what I'm producing and what I'm putting out. And even those pages that aren't my favorites, I'm still happy enough with them where I'm happy, like, people will look at them in my albums. So that's what I have to say about that. And then let's look back down at the screen and see what I've done. Because when I start talking, I don't always just stare at my screen and see what I'm doing while I'm doing this voiceover. So that's what it is. So I did pull out those Tim Holtz rub-ons, and I had said this in a previous video. I got these from Tuesday Morning. I had heard kind of like things about the Tim Holtz rub-ons where they didn't rub off really good. They weren't great. They were great for mixed media where you can layer and paint and all that kind of stuff. But I have had no problems with these. Like, I really enjoy them. They're working so far for me. So I'm good with them. Totally good with them. Now, there are some rub-ons that, like, you look at them hard enough and they fall off their page. And I want that happy medium where I might have to work at it just a little bit to get it on my layout, but they're not falling off of their backing. So that's what makes a good rub-on for me. So scrapbook companies, I know you're not watching, but if you are, that's how I like my rub-ons. Okay. Now, since I did use that that Chamel Joy to the World die cut down here on this right-hand side of my page, I did wanted to bring those colors over on the left-hand side of the page. And that is because the greens don't exactly match my trees that I have going on in the background. But what I'm trying to do is get enough variety in my greens that you really don't notice that it doesn't exactly match. And that's one of the things that feel good to me when I'm scrapbooking, is my colors don't have to exactly match, but they have to look good together, or look close enough together, or kind of coordinate together, so when I look at it, it feels good. And I especially didn't mind doing that, kind of mixing my greens on this layout, because it is a layout about a concert, and the photos are kind of all over the place. So I'm totally good with that. So I did use that Mary die cut up there at the top, and that is also from Chamel's Christmas Magic line. Now, these puffy stickers right here that I'm using are an old freckled fawn alphabet. I could not tell you when they made it, but it's been in my stash for a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that right on my layout to spell out the word concert. Now, those pink fresh vellum, or they're not vellum, acetate letters, I just did TSO, and I went through them and tried to pick out the closest colors to the stuff that I had already going on the layout. Originally, my title was going to be that Christmas wishes rub-on that I put on the page, but it kind of faded a little bit into the background, and I needed a little bit of a pop. And not that you can see very well on camera because of the way the acetate is reflecting, but that does give it a pop. And I am a super fan of words. You might not think that because a lot of the layouts I share don't have a lot of journaling, but that's okay. What I mean is I like decorating with words. So my title might be TSO concert, but right along in that, and such a riveting title that is, but right along there with that title, I have Christmas wishes, I have joy to the world, I have Mary up at the top. There's like different words. So if somebody looked at this page and hopefully I've evoked a feeling where it's fun, it's Christmas time, it's like it brought us happiness, and we went to a concert. So if that is what you get out of this page, then hey, I don't care if you think the title is Mary. I don't care if you think the title is Joy to the World. I'm calling it TSO concert, but you can call it whatever you like. Just look at my page and know that we had a good time. Okay. So now what I'm trying to do is I've got a lot of real estate on this double page spread, and I find that I don't decorate maybe as much on a double page spread, and I'm not exactly sure why that is, other than it's just what it feels good. there's back, see, I'm circling around, guys. Stay with me. It's what feels good. So I have these Studio G rhinestones that my secret sister had given me when I went to Heather's Crafty Life's retreat, and I thought that they were great. It's another layer of green. It's another green in that like Christmassy green that looks great. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop the rhinestones down on some of the snowflakes. Now, my original intent was to put rhinestones in different sizes across the entire span over the snowflakes, but I quickly decided that it was too much for that little space. So what I'm doing is using the rhinestones to create little bits of sparkle on my two main areas of embellishment, which is up here on the left and down here on the right. And I'm just, I keep like looking through my stuff and trying to figure out what is going on. Don't worry about my finger. That is not a cut. That is not anything like that. That is alcohol ink. So if you watched my video from the 15th, I had used some alcohol inks, and that's one of the things too that I have watched people use for a long time and just never kind of got into it. But now I have like, I don't know, 5 alcohol inks. I definitely want to expand my collection of them, and I'm really enjoying just like playing with them. So yeah, if it's something you like, go for it. Now this is some very old K & Company sticky ribbon trim, and I actually think this is from some sort of Valentine's line. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick it down here just because I feel like I need a little bit of something. It needs a little bit of just something. I don't know how to describe it. I'm looking at my layout thinking it just needs something. And the red is what I went with. And I'm okay with and the same thing with the greens. Like my reds don't all exactly match. This red doesn't exactly match the red in the trees and the paper, and it doesn't exactly match the red in Mary or the red on the Joy to the World. Like, it doesn't exactly match. And hey, I'm cool with that. So I just go ahead and place that down, and it just adds a little bit of something extra. So now it doesn't feel like I just threw the pictures and slapped that snowflake paper down on top of it. It actually feels like I maybe had some thoughts. Now I have these Bella Boulevard hearts, and I love these little puffy hearts. They are so much fun. I decided not to go with them and not to add it because I had already done the stars, the silver stars. So I pulled out these puffy stickers, and these are also from Freckled Fawn, and they're just some plus signs. And I remember when I discovered plus signs. So plus signs have been around for a while, right? And, you know, I wasn't really big into them. And then I got something in a kit, and I was like, I have to use these plus signs. And I loved them. And I was like, oh, plus signs, they're my jam now. So I just really enjoy them. And I decided to not do the plus signs so much where my embellishments already were, but to kind of do them opposite of where the embellishments were. So now I have decoration across my entire layout instead of like a clump here and a clump here. And that might not look right to you, or it might not feel right to you. So if, you know, it doesn't, then just don't even worry about it. And of course, what do? I pop down a silver heart right by Joy to the World, even though I said I wasn't going to mix the hearts and the stars on this layout, which normally I have no problem with. Like, I'll mix heart, stars, whatever. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some Black Velvet Heidi Swap Color Shine just to give it a little bit of splatter. And I'm not being like careful with it at all. I don't care if the photos get splatter on them. They are concert photos. So like I said, it's not a huge deal. So now I'm just going to go ahead and write down a little bit of thoughts from the night, and I might have more journaling. These are not the only photos I have of that evening. I have a couple. It's going to span a couple layouts, but basically I just wanted to get down that this was our first West Coast viewing of TSO. They do have two teams that run concurrently. One's a West Coast and one's an East Coast, and we obviously lived on the East Coast, so that's where we went. And now that we're on the West Coast, we went to this one. So it was a great experience. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.